Hello there everyone, this is Obscure Sausage, or Agent Liam96 as I used to be known as. This is my new channel, and this is another basic Photoshop tutorial for you guys, and it's a photo effect, and it's one of the most basic photo effects that I know, because it's one of the first I learned, and that is a vintage effect. Now it's quite simple, you can do it very quickly, and here's another tip for you. You've got this actions bar up here. Now what you can do is you can actually create a new action like this and just call it, I don't know, vintage effect, and then you click record, and then every step that you make after this it will record as a step in this, and then later on, if you've done it right, you can just go into the actions, click this, have your image selected, and then click play, and it will just do the effect automatically for you. So that's another handy little tip that you can have there. So yeah, that's another little tip that you can have. So the first thing we're going to start off with is you're going to need a picture, obviously. So you just, whatever picture you want, you just bring in, and so we'll start off. You also need to you need to choose your image very carefully, because some pictures are much more suitable than others. It's not like it's all about the brightness and the kind of contrast within the image. Even though we're going to edit that, you have to have a good contrasted and bright picture, in a sense, like a good lit picture. So you need to choose your image carefully and take them in, take your photos in a good way to be able to apply this vintage effect to, so it can work to its fullest. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start off like this. You're just going to have the standard image. So what you're going to need to do is duplicate it, and you would have learned that in the last video. If you didn't know, then it's Control J, or I think it's Command J on a Mac, and then you want to select the actual background layer, press the X on the keyboard, the X key on the keyboard, and as you can see it actually swaps the foreground and background color with each other, and you want the foreground set to white, and then hold Alt and press backspace, and it will fill the layer selected with the current foreground color, and then just press X again to set it back to normal. Now you're going to select layer 1, and this is the layer that we're going to be working on, and basically what we're doing is we're just adding different adjustment layers to create an overall effect on this layer. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to add some contrast and saturation, and to do this we're going to have to do a brightness and contrast and just adjust the contrast to set it to about 20, I think, for this image, maybe a bit more, 25, it depends on your image really. And then we're going to go down and do a hue and saturation. You can set the saturation to a standard of saturation for most pictures would be 20 for this kind of effect, but you can can change it to whatever you like, because it does really all depend on what the image that you've got. So I'm just going to set mine to +20 because I haven't got too much red in this, and +20 is the just the standard really. So that's the first two. They're quite simple, just two adjustment layers, simple like that. So the next adjustment layer is going to be a curves, and we're going to be working on the curves quite in depth. Because we're going to be going through the different color channels in this one. So the first color channel we're going to start with is the red, and with the red we're just gonna take, I think, from in this box here, we're going to take this point and we're just going to pull it down a bit like that, and then we're going to take a point here and just flatten it up at the top there. You can see that the red changes, and then we're going to go into the green, and with the green, this is very subtle, the green, so we're just going to pull it up to from around here to this line here, and you can see all the green changes. So because you can just clearly see all the green now, you're just going to pull this one back just to dampen it down a bit, and then you've got that kind of enhanced green effect. So now we go to blue channel, and the blue channel is quite simple. We're just going to grab the standard point here, pull it down a bit. We're going to grab the standard point down here and pull it up a bit until you get that kind of small diagonal shape there. And that's the three sort of main effects that you want. You can go back into the RGB and you'll see this, and With the standard grey line, you can just take this point here and move it across a bit just to get a bit more of a brightness, or drag it the other way to get more of a contrast on your image. You can usually just leave it standard, but if the effects through the other channel colours didn't work so well, you'll have to come back to this and possibly just move the end bit a bit slightly and bring this part over here a bit, just to give a bit more of a contrasted, brighter picture through all the layers. Now the next thing, one of the most main parts of a vintage effect, is the vignette. And the way we do this is we're going to go and select our layer 1. Make sure you do that, because if you can't do what we're about to do next with any of these selected, and we want it on layer 1. So we're going to convert it for smart filters here. So you go to filter and convert for smart filters, and then you just click OK. Basically what this means is that it can overlay any filters that you do to it, but it won't actually apply it to the image. So it won't damage the original photo, it will just overlay the effect, just like we've done with these adjustment layers. So then we're going to add a lens correction. Now depending on what Photoshop CS you're using, the lens correction will be found here or in the distort menu. So at the moment I'm on the new Photoshop, so we're going to go into the lens correction here. Now you'll get this pop up. Now what you want to do is you want to go into the custom tab, and then you'll see that it has different sections. Now we're going to go into the vignette section, and basically what we're going to do is we're just going to mess with the settings here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the amount to about, or depending on your picture, we can set it straight to 100. You know, we can set that straight to a whole 100, and then you can set the midpoint to about, and well actually you just keep the midpoint standard unless you really want to change it, but there is no point. You just keep the midpoint at plus 50 really. That's really all you need for that, and that's really all you've got to edit in there. Now sometimes you will get different coloured sort of vignette options around here, but I don't think there is anything that you can do about that really. So you just click OK on that one. So you can see we're getting the vignette option, the kind of effect around the edge now on the corners, where it goes really highly contrast. So that's what we're going to do there. So another thing we can do with this is we just go down here, and we can set the opacity from here of the effect to about 70%, just to lay it off the image a little bit so you can still see what's going on around the edge. And now we're going to add some colorization. Now the way we do this is we do yet another one. So it should actually be looking the actual image should be looking quite all right now, with a lot of contrast, and but now what we're going to do is we're going to tone it all down, and to give it that old photo special effect look. So in the layers palette, we're going to click the adjustment layers icon again and go into the hue and saturation. Now we're going to check the colorization option, so the colorize option here. Now you can see it's adding obviously a color to the image, and what we're going to do is we're going to set the hue to about 53. You can have it anything you like, because obviously you get more of a browner picture around the 50 area, which is what we want, because that gives it the old kind of photo look. We're going to have keep the saturation on 25, and we're not going to do anything with the lightness here. So then we're just going to, it really does depend on what kind of picture you've got, but we're basically going for that sepia look. If you know what the sepia look is, it's kind of the brown, the brownish type of old photo-y look. Now we're just going to go back off, and then just make sure you've still got this layer selected, and we're going to go up to the opacity, and we're just going to set it down to about 50%, all depending on your image. I'm going to turn it up a little bit because it's not showing too well at 50%, so I'm just going to turn it up a little bit to about 60, around there. but the standard for it is about 50%. So now we've really got that that kind of, you know, vintage look going here. And we can just add some final touches to this, and that's by what we knew is it's kind of like a little accent to the photo that gives that real vintage effect. Like they always have some sort of like pinkish glow, or maybe a cool blue glow to it, as if like it's like if you give that pinkish glow, it kind of gives that effect that the photo's been faded from the sun and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the layers palette and go down to the adjustment layer, and we're going to select solid color. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the solid color a very bright hot pink magenta color. So we're just going to go up here, so something like that. So possibly try and just copy this out and try and use this color. So we're going to click OK on that one, and we're going to move it right to the top of all the adjustment layers, so we've got that solid color and it's not affected by any of the adjustments. And then what we're going to do is going to change the opacity of the layer to about 5%, but this does change depending on what your image is like, but 5% gives that sort of pinkish glow. As you can see around the clouds, it's kind of pinkish, and it helps to give that sun-worn effect. And that's pretty much it. That is the vintage effect right there. Just remember to save it. You'll always want to save as a PSD first if you really want to go back and edit, but you don't really need to do that if you're not going to go back and edit. So you just save it as a PNG or some sort of thing like that. And that's pretty much the vintage effect. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned from this, and I'll have some new videos coming soon. Please comment, subscribe for more videos, and comment what kind of a tutorial you'd like to see. Thanks for watching, guys.